Okay, so if you can all open to No Sugar Scene 3. Okay. And hang on a second. What do I have to do? I have to turn it left, rotate, counterclockwise. There we go. Okay. Oh, really? Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay, open up No Sugar. Look over the iris. Scene 3. Okay? So basically there's a few things that I'm going to highlight. The first thing, I don't know if you have noticed, but it's here. So there's no soap in the rations. Can everyone see big enough? You can see that? It must be page 20. Okay? Millie says, don't get no soap in the rations no more. Okay? Sergeant ain't giving no soap anymore. Now, Gran says, don't worry, we can use tearing bush. Okay? And I've made a little note that Granny knows how to use the traditional plants. Remember she talked about the wattle seeds to make her own flour? But in this case, she knows where summer's growing. Okay? So it's really highlighting that Gran has the traditional knowledge of how to use the land. Okay? She hasn't lost that knowledge. She's an elder in the family and she still has the knowledge of how to use the native plants the way that they used to be used. So this tearing bush used to be used as soap. Okay. All right. Yep. Zoom in. Can you see that? No. Yep. So here it is. And I've written, Gran has traditional knowledge. She still knows the traditions of the land. Okay. Then I've moved over to page 21. Okay. Gran is cooking. She's putting onions and potatoes in there. Jimmy produces turnips from his pocket. Turnips is a type of vegetable. Yeah? And Jimmy says, here, Mum, chuck 'em in. Millie says, where'd you get 'em from? Joe says, he never growed 'em, and I bet he never bought 'em. The implication is that they're stolen. Okay? Well, if he didn't grow them and he didn't buy them, they could have been a present, but what he's really suggesting is he stole them. So he's probably gone to a vegetable garden and just taken them from somebody's house, from somebody's farm.
So can we use this evidence to present that the family is poverty?
It could be, look, it could be evidence of poverty, but it could also be evidence about Jimmy's character. Okay? So what does it say about Jimmy's character? How does he feel about following the rules? He's a rule breaker. But partly, is he a good person? He cares about his family. So it's more that the white man rules he's not going to follow. He doesn't respect white authority. Okay? And he's willing to do whatever he has to protect his family and feed his family. Millie says, you're looking for jail, all right. Okay, again, it's the implication that they're stolen. Jail, G-A-O-L, is the British way of spelling that word. Okay? just going to hit pause for a second. All right, so we continue. Oh. There you go. Okay. Come back. Come on, baby. Good. All right, here we go. Yep. Okay. So the implication is that these are stolen. Okay. So Millie says you're looking for jail. You've been inside. Inside where? Inside jail. No. Well, you'll be in jail if Sergeant catch you here. Okay. If you're friends with Aboriginal people, you'll go to jail. Here as well, we're establishing Jimmy's character. Ah, we're Jella white people. Know how many times I've been in jail? He holds up 4 fingers. That many times. All right? So Jimmy's been in jail 4 times. Okay? What for? Drinking, fighting, and snowdropping? Anyone who did this find out what snowdropping was? Exactly. So you know when your clothes are drying on the line? Stealing clothes from people's lines. Alright? So if you see some clothes that you like, oh, that's nice. Go shopping from other people's clothes lines. It's snowdropping. Yeah? Alright. So that again establishes the fact that he is a rule breaker. He doesn't respect this authority. Now, if you have a look over here, now this is too big for you to see, Jimmy, I know that, but just know that it's here, that there's a note here. It indicates Jimmy character, somebody who does not follow rules, does not recognise white authority. Come back here. Okay. But then, later on, we start to learn something else about Jimmy's character. He was a choir boy. Choir boy is a boy who sings in the choir. And we're establishing Jimmy's more gentle side, that in contrast with his roughness, rule-breaking side, he also has a gentle side as somebody who sings beautiful songs. Ave Maria solo. Do you know the song Ave Maria? It's a beautiful opera song. So you will know it. You'll have heard of it. It's a beautiful song. And the fact that Jimmy sings this song really shows culture, but it shows gentleness, softness. Ave Maria. Oh my goodness, I can't believe now that is on this recording. Yes, Iris. Choir boy, somebody that sings in a choir. Choir is a group of people that sing together. We have choir every Monday lunchtime, you know. Okay. Later in the chapter, they are serving Frank dinner. So they're actually feeding Frank. They're cooking damper, which is the bread, and then underground mutton, which is rabbit. Mutton is lamb, so underground lamb. And if you haven't already mentioned it, this section here, few things. Frank has his own farm once. Used to have his own farm, but he lost the farm because of the Depression. The crops didn't grow properly. He lost the crop. Now Jimmy's getting drunker. Do you see that? Okay, getting drunker. And you can tell it in the tone here. There's a really fucking government fucks everyone up. But so you can imagine him speaking this in a more drunk way. So Davis acknowledges the fact that there is an alcohol problem in the Aboriginal community. He doesn't pretend that the Aboriginal community is all noble and wholesome. He shows the love in the family, but he doesn't show it as a perfect community. He acknowledges the problems to do with alcoholism. Okay? But at the same time, so he's acknowledging this problem, but he's also showing the reasons for the problem. So Jimmy and these Aboriginal men have no way of getting a job. Their traditions, their land has been taken away. Their trees, so their way of actually living their traditional life has been taken away. They can be forcibly moved. They're forced to, not allowed to walk in the streets after sunset. There's protection. You can imagine the frustration, the unfairness that people might think that would drive them or lead them to drink. Okay? So Davis is showing this. He's showing the alcohol problems, but also giving the reasons why there are these problems at the same time together, presenting them. Does that make sense? Okay? But then he draws this unfairness. Are you allowed to walk down the street after sundown? Frank says, yes, I am. Well, I'm not, he says. None of us are. We're not allowed in town, not allowed to go down the soak, not allowed to march. And he mimes handcuffs and jail. Okay. I think go down to the soak might mean go to the pub, go to have a drink. I'm not sure. I don't know what the soak means. Yep. I think that means not allowed to protest. Yeah, we march when we protest. So he's not allowed to disagree with the government. Okay. So we've got the scene direction here that shows being arrested. Police grab us like that, bastards. Which really highlights this lack of freedom, the unfairness, and provides this reason for the frustration that Jimmy feels that might lead him to drink. Okay? And then he goes on to describe how they shot his dog. Okay, they can shoot our dogs any time. Come back to page 24. Okay, now Jimmy, don't forget, Jimmy's getting drunk. Jimmy falls over the bike and kicks the bike. It's David's bike. He says, don't do that, I just fixed it up. And Jimmy accidentally hits Joe. Sam gets up. Basically, Sam and Jimmy start a fight. Okay? So they are engaged in a ragged brawl. Can you see this part here? Engaged in a ragged brawl. Okay? That means a brawl is when you're kind of, not necessarily punching, you might be punching, but you're kind of wrestling each other. Hugging but fighting. Can you imagine that? Yeah? Alright, come on, stop it, you hear me? Yes, but Frank says I'm going. Bye. He says, I better go. Thanks for the really nice meal. They fight, and this is really interesting. Who stops the fight? Gran. The fact that Gran stops the fight, have this picture in your mind. She grabs the hair and pulls them apart. Is that because she's strong? Physically strong? Is she stronger than the two men with her muscles? No. Absolutely not. But that family role, she has a lot of power. She is respected in the family. How many of you have the same situation with your mothers? Yeah. Like, you might be just as strong as your mothers, but you know what? They have the power. You might be stronger than your mum. I am. I'm scared of my mum. My husband is terrified of his mother. But I think that really shows this traditional respect for elders. Okay? And it's something quite honourable about this community, where the elders have authority and respect. Now this fight is commenting on alcohol and the damage that alcohol causes in Indigenous communities. Okay? So Davis isn't pretending it doesn't happen. Okay? He says, now, right at the end here, Millie, she puts the alcohol on, so she empties the hole. Catching her just pouring it out. This is real fighting stuff. She's being sarcastic. Real fighting stuff. This is making you fight, and she's emptying the bottle onto the ground. That statement, that symbol, is her anger of what this is doing to her family and her community. This poison, this drug, this alcohol. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay. All the notes are there. The one thing there is perhaps a note on alcohol damaging relationships in Indigenous communities and families. And Millie pours out the bottle and says, real fighting stuff. Yeah? Okay. So 4, my 4 was pretty empty, but I did acknowledge that Jimmy is playing on his mouth organ, Home Sweet Home. And I think that this is quite ironic. Why is it ironic? So the song, he's in jail, he's been put in jail, and he's playing Home Sweet Home. What could it be saying or implying? It could be something about, hey, I'm back in, this is my time. Could be. Does he have a home? The land is his home and that's been taken away. So there's a sense of irony there that he's playing a song about home, but he doesn't actually have one. It's been taken away from him. Yeah? So, I mean, it could be any of those. I don't know. We can only and guess what it could be. Okay? Irony. Oh, this pen really isn't working. But anyway, you know there. And that's really the only thing that I've written in that paragraph. I mean, to understand it, he's really treated quite inhumanely in the jail. He's got a bucket to do his toilet in. So not a toilet, but no privacy, but just a bucket. It's got a hole in it, but they don't even listen to him when he says, hey, this bucket's got a hole in it. They treat him like an animal, okay? So there is inhumane treatment. He sings a hymn. Again, the contrast between the violence of the place of jail and the song. At the end, I've highlighted, F you, white bastard, F you, which is singing. Scene 5, I highlighted Frank, who said he was a real mate to me. Come on. Yeah? So this part. So this is now scene 5 is the trial. Now Jimmy and Sam and Frank, who have been arrested, are now going to trial. You know what a trial is? With a lawyer, and they decide. So at first you go to jail because the police just want to get you off the street because they arrest you. But then you have the time to prepare with a lawyer and you actually go before a judge. Okay, so now they're at the trial. The judge is a JP, and that JP is just a local farmer. Okay, to have some background. It's not, in those days, an actual person with training in the law. And Frank is arrested for supplying alcohol to half-castes and natives, and he's got 6 weeks jail, with hard labour. Okay? And he explains that, they were nice to me, and this bit I've highlighted. And the reason is, look at this. The JP says, I understand you were a difficult situation, but it is my duty to protect natives and half-castes from alcohol. And I just want to highlight this irony. There's often this theme of, now initially we saw it in Mr. Neville, I'm so concerned about these young children. And I want to protect. It's my duty to protect the Aboriginal people. But at the same time, they are the one that caused the problems that have all the problems in their life place. So they're saying we want to protect you and keep you safe, but they've caused all the problems. So the irony of that statement is really important to recognise. Does that make sense? So he's saying it's my duty to protect them, but if they really wanted to protect natives, then they wouldn't be taking away their land, taking away their rations, forcing them to move, forcing them to live on a reserve, treating them differently. If they really wanted to protect them, they would be treating them very differently. So this is an example of irony. Okay, and I've written that there, example of irony, and that's a lot of times used where they're saying we want to protect it, but actually their actions show that they're not actually protecting very well at all. So Jimmy gets 6 months jail, and Sam gets a fine because it's his first time. And he only has to go to jail if he doesn't pay the fine. Okay, so he gets 14 days to pay, and if he doesn't pay in 14 days, he has 7 days in jail. All right? Oh no, it's not 6 months, it's 3 months. Sorry, my mistake, I thought it was 6. 3 months hard labour for Jimmy. All right. Can I continue? Good. All right. Do I want to save it? No, because then it'll make all my marks. All right. Okay, scene 6. This is where Cece gets sick. Okay, Cece is in a blanket. Now, what's really important in this scene, Sam says, my Mulna's, I think that's uncle, brother-in-law, Sam, brother-in-law, better off than I am. So being in jail is better than being on the street, than being out of jail, because they have food. Okay? Later on, Joe appears, wet, sad, dejected, with empty traps, so they can't get food. They can't catch enough rabbits. For some reason, there's not enough food around. They're starving. All right. She gets sick. Now, this last bit is what I've paid attention to here. Okay. And I want you to have an image of your mind about what their house looks like. Where do they get the tin for the house, for the roof? It says go down to the dump. The dump is a place where we put all our rubbish. So they go to the rubbish dump, which is where all the rubbish is for the town, to find tin for their roof. So their house is made of rubbish. Do you have a picture of what it might look like? Okay. So go down to the dump, see if you can find more tin for the roof. because their house is so cold, they're trying to fix their house so it's not so cold for CC. Okay. See if you can get some bags, and I'm thinking maybe they want the bags for the walls. I don't know why they want the bags for, but maybe that's why. So the house is basic, made from rubbish. Scene 7. This is one of my favourite scenes in the entire play. This is where Jimmy is getting out of jail and he goes to meet Mr. Neville. He wants to get the ticket. And he comes in the front door. Okay. Yeah, he waits for a long time. Jimmy defiantly uses the front entrance. I've written. Do you know what it means to be defiant? You can't tell me what to do. Yeah? It's a kind of attitude, not definitely, defiantly. You know, I'm going to defy you. I'm going to disagree with you. Defiantly. Mr. Neville says the native entrance is around the back. Segregation, yes. But Jimmy says, I'm not waiting around there all day. I'm not sitting down there all bloody day, he says. He's really defiant. He is standing up defiantly. It looks like this. D-E-F-I-A-N-T-L-Y. Jimmy defiantly uses the front entrance. Okay. Now, as you can see, I've put the lines in where the split scenes are. So I've written a big note, split scene, and this one is like lots of split scenes. Every line there is there reminds me that this is a split scene. Now, what I've paid attention to here, I think you can find the page 37. Okay, top of page 37. Remember, they're trying to find a new location for the reserve, for the Aboriginal reserve. Okay? And it's Sergeant's job, Sergeant Carroll's job to find this location, but somehow every location he finds, there's something wrong with it. Because people just don't want that location there. So he finds this location. He says it's got a water supply, it's got a couple of acres of grazing land. Neville says apparently the council has plans for development. What? As a recreation park. Sergeant says pretty recent plans. The implication is there that they're not real plans. They're kind of fake plans just so that the reserve doesn't go there. Yeah. Recent plans means he's not heard of the plans. People have made those plans up so that there is no Aboriginal reserve there. And then he says, Sergeant says, between you and me and the gatepost, the council would prefer if you sent them to Moore River or somewhere. Yeah? We'd just prefer if you just sent them away somewhere. Send them to Moore River. Neville says most councils will prefer that, but it's too full. It's bursting at the seams. Okay? And then Gran comes in. Gran's talking to Sergeant in Northam. Sergeant's talking to Mr. Neville on the phone in Perth. You know that, right? Yeah? And I just really liked here, blankets, 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 blankets. Yeah? They're really persistent. We need blankets. What about blankets? Blankets. She's got pneumonia and pleurisy. We want blankets. Sorry, blankets not here yet. Now, notice this. I really like this interaction here. Here we go. Sergeant says, blankets not here yet, Millie. At the time, 1930s, this scene, it says it was in 1932. Okay? At the time, you would only call your sisters and brother and close friends by their first name, or young children. Okay? Same here at Westbourne. You don't call me Tracy, you call me Ms. Williams. Why? Because it's a school rule, but why do we have that rule? It's out of respect. He says, so Sergeant says, sorry, Blanket's not here yet, Millie, and Gran says, her name is Mrs. Millie Murrah. Yeah? He's saying, don't call her Millie, her name is Mrs. Millie Murrah. Treat me with respect. Treat my family with respect. Okay? By having this conversation, it is really implying we deserve to be treated like equals. Call me by my surname. Treat me with respect. Yeah? Does that make sense? Okay? And she's still going afterwards. Blankets. Okay? The implication here, why don't you go around to St. John's? The government thinks, oh, well, you know, people like Sister Eileen, the church is there, why don't you go and help? Millie says, there'll be no help. He'll give us nothing like that. When he comes to government, well, he goes like that and he has his eyes closed and he said, the Lord will help you. Yeah? The implication is that he doesn't understand what the life is really like. He's praying for help without actually taking the time to really understand. And now we have no meat this week. Now meat is being reduced from the rations. And we're still going, oh, what about blankets? I want these blankets before Cece gets out of hospital. Sergeant says, I can't promise anything. I'll check with the department. Gran says, and you're supposed to be the native protector. That's the native protector. It's just the short form. And you're supposed to be the protector. You can't even get me blankets to protect my daughter from sickness. The implication is you're not doing your job well. This posture is the most powerful, one of the most powerful interactions. Just this section here, can you see? This section here, one of the most powerful interactions in the play. For one, Sergeant says, looks like I'm needing protecting, because Gran's fierce. But here, should put a pinch of strychnine. Strychnine is rat poison. Should put rat poison in the flour. So they're joking about killing her. This line here, too late to adopt the Tasmanian solution. In Tasmania, it's pretty well known in Australia that there are no full-blooded Tasmanian Aboriginals left today. They were all killed in a massacre. Yeah. So the settlers, the white settlers from England, when they came here initially, that in Tasmania, they basically rounded the Aboriginal people up and killed them. So the Tasmanian solution is to kill them all. That's how they fixed the Aboriginal problem. Okay. So joking about this mass murder solution to a problem. They're making a joke out of a massacre, but suggesting it, well, you know, we can't kill them. Not only respectful, okay, respectful is too light to use to describe sort of content. This is abuse. It is, you know, it's a really awful, evil thing to say. You know, well, we can't adopt the Tasmanian solution. The idea that mass murder is a solution to anything, the word solution implies that you've got to fix the problem. So the suggestion is, well, we could kill them, we would fix. I know that Sergeant himself wants to kill them. Sergeant strikes me as prejudiced, racist, but not, you know, I don't know that he's so, you know, cold or evil. He's kind of, even here, like joking about, oh, I need protecting from Gran, or maybe he's following orders. Yeah, maybe there's a part of him, you might even see that he kind of wants to help, that doesn't know, you know, how you interpret the character, but I would say that he wants, but a joke of it be, well, it was our problem we did, is laughing about such an important historical event. And there would be people who would, in the audience, see that and go, oh, the problem is incredibly disrespectful for you.
So if this solution works and the law allows it, so they will follow this solution?
There is that implication. All right, that's 2:40. I'm going to press stop. There we go.